who has been your biggest rival in your career?
Man, that's a great question. I would probably have to say the Broncos.
Broncos.
Broncos Chiefs have always been huge in my head, and it was probably because when I first got to the league, the Broncos were that
Well,
team.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, they were that
That's
team. So every
yeah.
single week every single week we played them in the building, it was amped up. It was like, all right, we focus a little bit more is on the line for this one, and AFC West opponent, playing them twice a year. I just feel
Yeah.
like that rivalry and the Raiders have always been, uh, without a doubt, the two biggest ones that I actually feel the rivalry and the history whenever we play them.
Yeah. I mean, for us, I got to say Dallas, probably because the fan base just makes you feel it so much. And we played a lot of meaningful games against them.
Yeah,
And this is our first win in like the last 7 games. So happy to finally break that trend. We had a bad run against Dallas for the last few years. So,
yeah,
um, I think outside of them, if I'm going outside the NFC East, probably go Minnesota. Again, we've had meaningful games. We had a big NFC Championship game, and the fan bases seem to hate each other. And so, yeah, I'll go Minnesota.
yeah.
Give them some love.
I'm not sure if it's mutual, but I absolutely hate playing the Patriots. I
Yeah,
feel like,
you get a lot of fake ass Gronk stuff from the Patriots.
well, I mean that's good shit. Uh, I ain't mad at that. I'm mad at him calling out my mom in the stands.
You don't
Yelling at
like the
her
your mama
whenever.
jokes? Yeah.
No, no, no. Your mama jokes are cool. Just when you say them to me, not my mom.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's fair.
Like when mom's leaving the stadium and she's getting heckled. That's fucking low blows, man. Um, but other than that, and mom isn't the only one that had a tough time. A lot of people say they go into New England and the uh, just get a bad taste in their mouth about Patriots fans. But obviously, the Pats had Brady and Gronk, and I mean Belichick. They were awesome for so long, and definitely
Yeah.
my first couple of years in the league. And there were a lot of meaningful games that I played against them in the playoffs, and I think that was definitely one of the games that I was always hyped for, trying to get more ready for than usual.
Yeah, I mean it's the greatest dynasty probably of the modern era. It's impressive what the Patriots are able to do. So yeah, what about positional rivalries? Do you ever find yourself having I don't know, looking at other tight ends, stats, things like that, and
Yeah,
accolades, and like compete against that?
I genuinely look at what all the tight ends did in every single game. I just like to see what guys are doing out here. If they had a big game, I'll watch it on film and see how he was getting his yards. But yeah, whenever I played Gronk or whenever I played Zach Ertz, whenever I play a big time tight end across the ball like a Darren Waller, um, I'm trying to outperform him 100%. I feel like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I changed my mentality or anything. I want to be known as one of the best that's ever done it. And
Hmm.
what a better way to show it when two of the best that are in the league go at it in the same game.
For me, I feel like the main guy that I always looked at for a while was Travis Frederick with the
Yep.
Cowboys. We were
Yeah,
both in the same
boys.
conference and highly rated centers. And I don't. Yeah, you always want to be the best, right? And I had a lot of respect for him. Still do. Unfortunately, his career was cut short. Had a really bad illness. I think it was Guillain-Barré syndrome. Um, but he came back to the year after that and then retired. Got a lot of respect for him, obviously, because we played a lot of the same opponents, and he had such a great career. I think he was a Pro Bowler dang near every season he played
Yeah,
in the NFL.
yeah, he was a stud.
So yeah, I kind of always compared myself to him, and wanted to beat him. Even though at center, there's not really statistics, I guess. But um,
You
and then the
got the
other,
PFF grade.
yeah, you always got that. And then the other guys I think I compared myself to, or like always monitored how they were doing at center, were the guys that I was drafted with, and the guys in particular that were drafted above me. Rodney Hudson, who you
Rob.
played a lot of, yeah, you played a lot
Love
of
Rob.
ball with in Kansas City. Stefan Wisniewski, who was drafted
Nice.
ahead of me, and
Wiz.
in the Raiders. And ironically enough, a guy that like I wanted to prove I was better than, or like I was competing with in my head, uh, ended up coming and joining the Philadelphia Eagles, and we ended up winning a Super Bowl together. He ended up
And
being a
then,
guy that like became my teammate and made me a better player. Like we ended up helping each other,
oh yeah,
and
smart dude. Very smart football player,
brilliant,
man.
brilliant
Love.
guy.
I got to see him at the Eagles game I went to. The Wiz was in the house, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
The Wiz obviously played in Kansas City
KC
and
won a
won
Super
a
Bowl
Super
with you
Bowl with
guys.
us. Can't say enough good things. He looks great, man. You talk about losing weight, man. There's
Yeah,
no
he
way you're
lost a lot.
doing the Stephen Wisniewski, man. You're not losing weight, dude.
First of all, it's Stefan Wisniewski.
I
Get my
call
man
him the
Wiz's name.
Wiz, man. Wiz,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, dude.
Wiz just would follow Kelsey brothers and get Super Bowls. So way to go for the Wiz.
Shout out to the Wiz, man.
Speaking of position rivalries, what about is there anybody that was like really really good early in your career? Maybe somebody that you like wanted to kind of be as good as like.
Is Gronk for sure.
Oh, okay,
It
there
was.
you go.
I mean, he was the staple for an all-pro tight end. How you do it in line blocking, how you do it in passing game,
Mhm. How you
and
do a
then on top
partying?
of that, how you do a partying, and then on top of that, how you win football games, man. He just shows up every single week, and obviously him and Tom were arguably the best duo, quarterback tight end duo of all time. Me and Pat are trying to say something about that, but we got a long ways to go to try and catch up to those guys.
Sure.
But I was my early on in my career, I was very aware of what Gronk was doing every single Sunday, and
Yeah.
not only that, but I was getting compared to him. The tall white dude wearing number 87, loves to have a good time. Um, you know, I think that naturally that comparison came about the more the Patriots and Chiefs played. But I personally, I absolutely love the way that dude just cut it loose, man.
Yeah.
You could tell he did not make football hard. He went out there and played the game with a good feel and just a high energy and a motor. And I was always trying to, I don't want to say one up him every single week, but I was very aware of what Gronk was doing over there in New England earlier on in my career for sure.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was. He was
Yeah,
probably the most unstoppable force, and at his best, I mean, that dude could do everything.
yeah. I
It
think it
was.
was 2011 or
Yeah.
2012, and he
Hmm.
had the 17 touchdown season
Yeah.
with 1,300 yards, and nobody had ever seen a tight end just take a ball to the house, run through tackles,
Yeah.
just dragging defenders from like the 50-yard line all the way into the goal,
It's
like the
incredible.
goal line. It was unbelievable to watch, and I got obviously so much respect for him. Was able to finally enjoy some party time with the Gronkinator, man. Gronk's Beach out in Vegas with the Chainsmokers, man. That was so fun. That was on my
That's cool.
bucket list.
Yeah.
Trying to
Very cool.
because obviously playing on the field, playing against him was an honor, but partying with him was even more of an honor with him and his family. Man, the Gronks are wild, as we know.
Of
Uh,
course.
and then during my first Super Bowl down in San Fran, we actually had a round table of me, George Kittle, Gronk, and Tony Gonzalez, and that was one of the coolest conversations I had ever been a part of. To be on that stage, Super Bowl week, talking to top tier, to best four of the best to ever do it. I'm sorry, three of the best to ever do it.
Oh, including yourself again? So cocky.
How do I do that every time? Either way, man, it was such a genuine or like just an organic appreciation for each and every single one of those dudes at that table, and hearing Gronk and what he saw in not only my game but George's game and Tony's game and vice versa about all those guys, man. It was just it was definitely cool to experience that, and the time went by too fast, man. That conversation could have lasted for days, man.
I'm sure.
But they cut it short because obviously Super Bowl week schedules were pretty tight. But We got to get that round table going again, man. We might just get everybody on the show, man. Everybody come on to new heights, baby. Let's start talking some
Seriously,
ball.
it really is fun to talk with other guys, especially at your position. I talked about Travis Frederick a little bit ago, and I still remember we were at the Pro Bowl his last year, and Trav he was always the guy that had like the backpack cooler with the beer in it and drinking the beers at practice. Like,
it's my kind of guy.
Just a great dude. And I remember looking at him, I was like, man, is it me or is it getting harder? And he's like, it's definitely getting harder. Like,
that's why I got the beers.
Yeah. He's like, man, I don't know what these defensive coordinators are playing more and more games. And it's, man, but yeah, it's always fun to talk with another guy at your position. And whether you're talking about football, life, you find out you got so much more in common than you really realize. So anyways, let's talk about the biggest rivalry in the human existence. I'm talking about the sibling rivalry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really feel like we had a sibling rivalry growing up, but I also think that might have been because I was the older brother, and I was just winning at everything. So let's hear it from your perspective.
You weren't winning everything. All right.
I didn't.
You were winning the majority of them, but you were not winning everything.
If you won, it was because I felt bad and just wanted to let you win.
Up. You feel bad? When have you ever felt bad for somebody in your life?
Okay, it wasn't because I felt bad. It was because I was like, okay, if I don't let him win once in a while, he won't play with me.
What?
Yep. I
was bringing it every single day.
I'll say this. Obviously, 2-year difference for brothers is a big difference. But I feel like the rivalry really became apparent to me when you had finally started to hit puberty in high school, when I was a senior and you were a sophomore. In particular, that one day when you finally beat me in basketball.
Finally? You didn't even play basketball, Jason.
Yeah, but
like even when we played basketball, you weren't playing basketball.
That doesn't matter. Out there. I was winning though because I was bigger and more stronger and faster than you. That's it.
Yeah, because there's no fouls on the playground, man.
Travis.
This dude was out here hacking.
I didn't need to hack. I didn't need to hack before you hit puberty. I was freaking 5 inches taller than you. I just blocked every shot. Okay. The only game you won at was horse because you could shoot better than me. But
the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, he just said it. He didn't win at everything.
That's a good point. But the moment the rivalry really became a rivalry was when you hit puberty. We're out in the backyard, and you finally could actually beat me as something athletic. And you were doing this stupid, driving the outside hook shot, and I could not fucking stop it. I could not stop it. And I was you had just gotten taller than me, so I could no longer just block it every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was furious.
The hook that was my patent move down there in the post, man. You couldn't stop it, man.
But it wasn't even like a post. You weren't even backing into it and doing it. You were just driving and then just
I was running away from you. Yeah.
Okay.
Finding a way, baby.
And I was furious. And so I just started to do what everybody does and pick up basketball when they're losing. And you just start fouling the other guy. And you said that's a foul, man. That's bullshit. And I said, there ain't no refs out here. There's no refs. And then you got upset. You threw the basketball at me and walked into the house. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And in my head, I'm upset because I'm having to come to the realization that you're better at basketball than me. And I go inside the house and you're at the refrigerator and I wheel you around and I punch you in the face. Way too aggressive for the situation.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, and
was not expecting a punch in the face, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we fought, but there weren't too many times where it got to that level of a punch in the face.
Keep your fucking composure, man. Keep your composure, all right?
I've never had good composure. But yeah, punch you, and then before that, every time we got into a fight and I had hit you, you would just start crying. And it was okay,
Jason,
I won the fight.
Do that. I did not start crying. Maybe when we were young.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Every time I would hit you when you were a kid, you would just cry, okay?
Well, because it fucking hurt. What do you mean?
No, it's because you're a kid. I'm not saying
you got me right here in the nose. Travis, you already know. It just immediately makes it.
Can you just let me tell the story?
In the nose, Travis, you start crying.
I am not attacking.
It's not a real cry. it's my eyes are watering.
Can you be comfortable enough to let me tell a story without feeling like I'm attacking your masculinity? I'm not saying anything.
You calling me a bitch, bro?
You were a child, okay? But anyways, you would be upset and you just run away. This time I hit you, you scoop me up before I realized what was going on and slammed me on the kitchen floor. The oven popped off of its hinges. And then we got up and we actually started having a fist fight. And the only thing that stopped the fight was Dad grabbing me, pulling me off of you, and you pushing me on top of him. And then Dad going, "Oh, my ribs! Oh, my ribs!"
And then we both froze. Okay. We both froze and thought,
"Oh
we
shit,
just broke Dad."
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's when I realized that the Sibling rivalry had gotten to actually be a rivalry. And now it's gone full circle. As opposed to me being able to beat you at everything, now you just beat me at everything. So, I guess it's no longer a rivalry again.
Oh, yeah. It's just getting started, baby. It's just getting started.